First question. How is it to help students who are dyslexic, and what is a way of treating it generally?
Oh, first of all, let me tell you the way we identify students with dyslexia.
Mm-hmm.
Because as teachers, we cannot diagnose a student. The only professional who who is able to do it is a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we have a hypothesis and we can do it, we send this student to a doctor. Actually, we request this student's family to go to a doctor, and then this person evaluates the student.
Mm-hmm.
Once we have the laudo, we start our intervention. So the first thing we need to do is to develop an individual educational plan for the student. And this is a document, and in this document there is a list of accommodations and or modifications for the student based on his or her needs.
Mm-hmm.
So dyslexia, for example, there are many strategies we can list, as for example, instead of having like very long texts, use bullet points, or maybe highlight the most important parts.
Perfect.
These kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's called accommodation. And then modification is when the student has severe special needs, and then we need to change the content. So that's a different situation.
Perfect. Second question. What would you say impacts the most on students' school life from dyslexia?
One of the biggest challenges a student may face is the fact that they learn at a different pace sometimes, because actually, because of neurodiversity, every person is different.
Yes.
So it may be a little bit overwhelming for a student if this student doesn't receive accommodation. So that's the reason why teachers need to consider diversity when they plan their classes. So instead of, as I told you, having like big tests or long tests, this teacher can use bullet points, visual aids, videos, audiobooks, because a person with dyslexia finds it difficult to decode texts. So there is a condition in this person's brain that affects his or her ability to learn. Actually, not to learn, but to read. So if we can avoid these long tests, it's better for the student.
Okay. And last question. Is there a way of minimizing its effects on school life and making it less of a disability?
Actually,
With a teacher by your side, you mentioned bullet points, highlighters. Is there a way of making it better, making it easier for the student as time goes on, or?
yeah, but first of all, there's no cure for dyslexia, and this is not a disease.
Yeah.
It's like a condition. As I told you, every person is different. So let me share the way we do here in the Learning Resource Center, because there are many ways we can provide the student with support. We can have individual classes, what we call pull-out. Every time that we have students outside their classrooms, we call this pull-out. So we invite these students to be with us one-on-one, or we can work with these students in small groups, like 3 students at the same time, students with not only the same condition, but with similar needs.
Other disabilities.
Yes. And also we can stay with the student inside of the classroom. We call this push-in. Okay.
Pushing.
Yes. Push-in, you go to the
Pull out,
students.
they come.
Perfect.
Okay.
And also there are accommodations like, for example, giving the student extra time for him or her complete his or her assignments or assessments, provide the student with a different place to take the assessment, because sometimes it's difficult for the student to focus. Because one thing important about dyslexia is that sometimes this condition can be associated to other conditions like dysgraphia, and for example, in this first first situation, it's difficult for the student to write. And it's not always alone, so we need to have a bigger view about the student's condition. So also, if if one teacher that does something to help one student, it's gonna benefit all of the students, because as I told you, there is neurodiversity. So
Perfect.
using visuals and different resources for students to learn is gonna be good for everybody.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ficou bom?
Ficou.
Eu